Hello, hello. I am doing a walk and talk today. This is actually my second one for the day. I did one and I stopped it and got myself some water and I'm back. So this is number two for today. And for this video, I want to discuss the probably the hidden powers that we have within ourselves. Those powers that we may not realize. I I have dug deep into this just so I could understand it. And I've just been amazed, and I'm still learning. And part of my learning, it's called human design. So part of the things is I want to teach on it, but I want to be when I teach on it, I want to be fully knowledgeable about it. But for me to get fully knowledgeable, I need to start sharing. So I'm going to start sharing, even though there's still so much out there. It's like me trying to explain the ocean, and all I have is just this, little container of understanding. So as I learn about it, I will explain it to you. So for those who don't know me, my name is Janelle Otto, and I was a military spouse for 24 years. I have two daughters. My family and I literally lived all around the world. And in 2018, I found myself getting divorced. Got divorced in 2019. But before that, a couple of years before that, I was laying in bed as my husband and I were separated. We were separated for a while and then got back together. Then we moved. And when we were separated, I was laying in bed. I was crying because it was just not a good time. And I said, my next guy will. And I listed all these things. Just let it go. And keep in mind, this whole time, I am trying to get my husband back. I am fighting tooth and nail. I I'm a Leo, and I am so loyal. I am loyal to a fault where I will put up with a lot of crap. Not anymore. I believe I want to say, and I can say, I not anymore. I used to be. I used to be that way. I have grown and learned and said, no, I come first. If you're not going to be just as loyal to me, but anyhow, I'm going off on a tangent here. But I fought for my marriage and for us to get back together. And I envisioned us being back together. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I just fought so hard. And then one day I was driving to work, and it came to me just, okay, if this is what he wants, that's it, fine. Why am I fighting for this? And I just let go. And it literally felt like this invisible boulder that I didn't even know I was carrying on my shoulders had just dropped to the ground. And I was like, oh, it was like I did not have to carry that load anymore. And I just was so excited. I wouldn't say excited. That's not the right word. I'm excited now because I could actually feel that relief. But I was just like relieved. That's the word. Not excited. I was relieved that I did not have to carry that, and I was just going to go down a different path. No joke. He came back that following weekend saying, okay, I want to try again. I said, okay. And when he did, I felt like I lifted that boulder and put it right back on my shoulders. And I was like, okay. So let's do this. And we did. Well, fast forward, we were separated, and I said, okay, I'm going to take the next 2 years off. I'm just going to work on me. I'm going to get healthy and figure life out and then go from there. I ended up meeting a guy and it was not my intention. And I fought for the longest time. Nope, 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 not get into a relationship, not interested. But he was going through a divorce. I was going through a divorce. And we got together. We would just talk and talk and talk. And the more I talked to him, the more I was like, I really like this guy. I like who he is. I like this. I like that. And we ended up in a relationship for a year. And throughout the relationship, little things came up. But especially after the relationship ended, I realized everything I had said years prior, saying, my guy, my next guy will have everything I listed, he had. No joke. He did it, or it was a part of his life. I was like, what? I was just stunned. I said, okay, that's amazing. So that's when I learned about manifesting. And I started diving into it and understanding it. And I realized, even with my marriage, that's what I was doing, was I was creating the world I wanted to see. So what I've learned over time is what's going on inside of us is what gets projected out. So when we have these ideas and these thoughts, it's what comes into our reality. So right now I'm on a walking pad, and this walking pad, I just heard about a walking pad like not a couple years ago. It was maybe a couple years ago. I was like, what is a walking pad? And if you would have asked me back in 2020, I would have thought, oh, treadmill, what is a walking pad? I had no clue. This walking pad, this laptop, the water bottle I have, this was a vision in somebody's mind before it came out to reality. They created it in their mind. So your mind is kind of like the projector. It projects it out, but it's also like the director and the actors and everything. And it's up there. It's the Chandra Rhimes, if I can say it right, say her name right. She's the one that created Grey's Anatomy, and I know there's other shows she's created, but Grey's Anatomy, I think she did How to Get Away with Murder. I think she did that one too. But it's her mind coming up with all this stuff and creating it and putting it out for everybody. It's the same thing with us. When we use our mind to create our vision and what it is, it comes out to our reality, which is really, really cool, because that means we can create what we want in our life. And so the thing is, we don't know when it's going to happen. So with my manifest your mate, that's what I say, is get really clear on what you're looking for. Because I did this after I learned about this. Let me step back for a second. When I did this once before, I said, okay, once I learned about manifesting, sorry, let me get my thoughts about me. Once I learned about manifesting, I said, okay, let me do this again. And I wrote out everything I wanted in a guy. I have it in my phone. It is recommended that you write it out. But I have it in my list in my phone, so I could take a look at it like before I go to sleep if I wanted, or as I wake up. Well, my list is extensive. I went into detail on a lot of different things in a lot of areas, and I can go more on that in another video. But when I was going through that list, there was this section I just kept thinking about. It was certain things, certain aspects I kept going, I said, where's he at? I need help with this, this, and this. And let me tell you what, those few things that I was focused on, a guy showed up and he had those things I had been focusing on. He didn't have the other things. And we went through my list together. And he said, oh, yeah, I have all that stuff. He did not have all that stuff. He had maybe a third of those things. And I was like, this is so cool. And and after him, and probably especially this past year, I would go back and forth. Do I want to be in a relationship? I was like, no. And then there were times I'm like, where's my relationship? Because I really want to be in a relationship. And then I go push back and go, no, I don't want to. Really think about, one, do you want to be in a relationship? And two, what does it look like? But that's not just, I'm talking about that because it's part of my manifest your mate. However, it doesn't have to be just that. What kind of a job do you want? What does that look like? What does your job look like? What does it feel like? What are they paying you? How do they treat you? Start looking at all these things. What if it's a house? What kind of a house do you live in? Where do you live? Where is it, in the same state? Is it in a different state? Start putting all that energy into what you want. And here's the trick. Do not put energy into what you do not want, because you'll get that. You will get what you do not want. So right now there's a guy that I'm kind of interested in. However, I'm vegetarian. I would prefer to have a vegetarian or a vegan, whole food, plant-based guy in my life. And all I can think about is, don't want a meat eater, don't want a meat eater, don't want a carnivore, don't want a carnivore. And guess what's coming in? Is carnivores. Oh my God. Nope. Want somebody who is vegetarian. And so I have to really hone in on that aspect. So that being said, test this out. So one of the things you can do is do it with the parking spot. Say you want a parking spot up close, and you want it in a specific area. And envision going in there and parking right where you want to go. Envision somebody you getting a free cup of coffee or cup of tea or something, and just envision it and see what happens. This is just so much fun. I just love this so much because we don't realize the power that we have within ourselves. I'd love to hear your stories. There was something I was going to say, and I can't remember. This middle-aged brain, it's still new. I'm still learning this middle-aged brain. I'm figuring it out as time goes on. It's like I used to be able to keep a thought and go, okay, this is what I want, and remember it. And now it's, yeah, that's a whole other topic. But I would love to know what golden nuggets you got from this. State it below. If you do want to join my Manifest Your Mate, join me in Skool. And yeah, it would be great to have you there and help you learn and grow and be a part of the community. Okay, you guys have an amazing day, and I will talk with you later. Bye.